I'm looking rather red today. Hello, everyone. Hello. And welcome to a new episode of Inside Fnatic's Brush. I am Matt Scott, looking like got a severe tan, but it's just my camera, so I'm gonna try to calibrate all of this. Let's see if I reduce this a little bit. Much better. There we go. I don't look so red anymore. Awesome. Thank you for joining me, guys, again as we progress through the season finals. One more weekend until the final weekend in Montpellier, which is coming on the 9th. So literally next week, pretty much, give or take a day. But before we talk about Montpellier, we have to talk about everything that happened the week prior, which were two best of fives. You had BDS versus SK, and our beloved Fnatic versus XL, which is a bit of a remake of it was last year, wasn't it? Last year's summer lower bracket, which somewhat ended in the same way, same score at least, not in the same I'd say formation of wins and losses, but definitely same results, same heart attacks, that's for sure. And yeah, we'll talk about that a bit later. We'll go over each of the 5 games, see what went well, see the mistakes that Fnatic have made. A lot of them obviously will have been reflected by Nightshare if you've watched the Legends in Actions that came out today. So if you hadn't had a chance, grab a look. I might put the light on just a little bit. Much better. Oh no, I'm losing focus now. Focus. I might be blurry for a few minutes. Oh, and I'm back again. I don't know how this works. I'll be very honest. I just let the camera do its thing, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But that's absolutely fine. Again, because of the season finals format, it's gonna be a rather short episode. So no predictions at the end again, but yeah, a bit more of a compact episode. Sometimes that's nice, rather than have an hour long of just me rambling, by the way, which is pretty much what this podcast is. But very quickly, standings in the LEC currently. So this weekend we will have Mad Lions and G2 for a spot straight to the finals in Montpellier, and we'll have losers bracket who are playing for a third place and a spot in Montpellier, period. BDS versus Fnatic, so that will be on Saturday, and it'll be tomorrow, and my Lions G2 will be on Sunday. I tend to forget with this new format what day is which anymore, but yeah, going over both of these games. So we've had Fnatic versus XL very quickly. 5-game barnstormer, hard attack for both sides of the fan base. Mistakes all over the place, I'll be very honest. But Fnatic came out the victor. We'll talk about it in our Fnatic segment a bit later. BDS SK Gaming, I might not say swift 3-0, because if you look at the game they were much closer, but a 3-0 nonetheless. Now, we did see SK struggle on the back end of the summer split, not making it into playoffs. They went against obviously Fnatic, which they beat initially in the group stage, only to get 2-0'd in the return match, which ended their summer split campaign. and it was kind of unclear of what version of SK we were going to have this time, because SK has kind of been, I say overall, upper mid of the table, with some really good performances as well as some very awful ones. Um, the team looked really promising throughout the season, I would say, especially with some um, impressive performances by Irrelevant, which I think we can clearly say is, uh, yeah, you could put him easily a top three top laner for how he's played his lanes and how he transfers his lane advantages into the later stages of the game. We've had Exakick, who's done well but was a bit inconsistent in his performances overall across the season. And for the rest, Certus, Marcoon, um, who's the last? I'm trying to. Why am I blanking on the support of SK? Give me a second. I have to look back again here. I was watching the game earlier this morning as well, so I don't know why. Like, managed to guess it before. Oh yeah, DOS, of course. None other than DOS with Hexakick. Been bit more quiet in terms of their performances. DOS had a really strong peak around spring, winter and spring. Kind of died down afterwards. But just to come back into the BDS SK series, if we look at the first game was a complete back and forth with BDS owning the first half, I would say, of the game. Obviously, playing to their advantages, which is a much more controlled map pressure, I would say overall, which is something they do much better than SK. Also getting some really strong meta picks behind with the Ivern, the Nautilus, which makes it a strong sort of ball of death. Combine that with some good poke potential with the Xayah and the Azir. Made it very hard for how do you call it, for SK to really get close and engage with their Rakan, their Maokai, and their Gnar into obviously making Gnar form, which is usually the form you want to be in when you move into the enemies. So you can easily, there's a lot of disengage potential as well as some engage options. SK fought back pretty well. They managed to get Baron. They were sieging in the bot lane, and unfortunately lost around the Ocean Soul point, which made it even harder for SK with the Cassante, the Ivern, and the Nautilus to sort of peel and allow Azir and Crown Shot's Xayah to deal damage. So it was an over 40-minute long game. So just gives you an idea of how complicated it was, but still, it's not necessarily a reflection of the final score. Second game, however, was a complete crush by BDS. The early mid game was kind of even in terms of objectives, in terms of kills, but when it came to the first big team fight, it was very clear that BDS had the advantage in terms of managing their team fights overall compared to SK, who look kind of lost, and that's saying quite a bit because there were quite a lot of how how would I say, engage options as well as strong annihilation option, like exit kick on the Zeri. You have Certus again with the Azir, but you also have Irrelevant, who's again very good in those team fight situations. Whether Renekton, who is great to get onto the back line. Nuclear in particular pulled out the Xerath, which is a good pick against the Azir. We saw it initially with Humanoid, I believe it was it was in the final week of regular summer split, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, a lot of mistakes from Hexakick in this game, especially trying to take a 1v1 against Crown Shot, who yeah, just I think sort of question marked Hexakick's attempt of taking a 1v1 against him. Hexakick thought they could probably burst him down with the ultimate and just the sheer power of Q of Hexakick, but Crown Shot spaced really well, placed a good ultimate, and completely demolished him in that 1v1, which somewhat set a state into the game of putting SK slightly behind. From that point onward, BDS did strongly snowball the game. From there, getting picks left, right, and center, feeding their Kai'Sa, and then just playing around the Drake Soul win condition, which again was an Ocean Soul this time. I'm not sure. Oh, no, they did. They got the 4 Drakes in a row, so they had Ocean Soul around 23, 24 minutes, which pretty much states GG, seeing the sort of 5k, 6k gold advantage that they had. Concluded with the third game, which, again, this one being close but being a very bloody match. Again, I really thought SK had the advantage on this one, but it unfortunately came. I'm saying unfortunately for SK, it came down to an Elder Dragon, which, again, BDS sort of I thought in this situation. I will say that Certus having to pull the emergency Akali, especially in his current meta, not a big fan. It did somehow work a little bit. Nuclear had the good idea of bringing out Cassiopeia as a counter, which scales super well, and I think is one of those picks who are, always viable with the utility it brings within a team, with the miasma, the stun, or the petrification, and of course the strong DPS, which is great for taking neutral objectives as well, like the Baron or the Drake. So yeah, it was in SK's hands at one point, as they had a very good team fight in the sort of mid to late game, which they won and transitioned it into a Baron. But for some reason, SK allowed BDS into the team fights. There's one point where the point actually where they fight for the Elder Drake, and SK is on the Elder Drake, is ahead of the Elder Drake, like way before. And for some reason, they just allow BDS to come in and set themselves as a 5v5, where Certus is completely isolated by Adam, gets killed by Crowny, becomes a 4v5, and then it's just impossible to play. Hexakick tries to do something here, where he gets a nice ultimate, but Irrelevant, unfortunately, can't get the Forge Orn God, whatever it's called, Call of the Forge God, and that means 0 peel for Hexakick, so gets obliterated, gets converted into an Elder Drake, which basically meant the win as BDS pushed into the base and SK could not fight against the strong Elder Drake buff. So that was that. That was that for the BDS SK game. A straight up 3-0. Closer than what it looked like, but still somewhat controlled, I'd say, overall by BDS, who have moved forward into losers bracket semi-finals, where they have been joined by our good man at Fnatic. Fnatic pulling off the 3-2 against Excel once again, with an injured Oscar. So Oscar apparently broke like his like sort of pinky bone, or like these two smaller fingers in his hand. He was able to play, obviously, as we'll see, but will require surgery. I don't know if the surgery has been done already. I hope so, and I hope that everything went well. But yeah, Nightshare had a look at it, identified that it required a bit more than just bandages and stabilizing his fingers so that it would sort of fix itself or whatsoever, but instead it would require some medical attention. So let's have a look at the game, shall we? Because those were some crazy intense games overall. Starting with game 1, which was a win for Fnatic. Am I on the right window? I am on the right window. Perfect. Now, I'm going to preface this series by saying that Fnatic overall had some really good drafts. Some of them were amazing. Some of them were like good. They were all good in in their range. Obviously, it doesn't mean by default, if you have a good draft, that you're going to win the game. But Nightshare did put the right tools in the boys' hands to win the game. We look at this first draft already, and there's 3-4 power picks easily. You've got the Ivern, the Rel, the Jace, and the Kai'Sa. And Excel is completely shattered by that comp, where they cannot go into that Fnatic comp. There's too much poke, there's too much protection with the Rel, the Ivern, and there's a lot of burst potential behind, especially with the Gwen, who's just gonna sustain with her passive and her itemization the further we get into the game. So great scaling, great meta picks. XL completely in shambles, and yeah, caught in there. And while I say that, it's actually XL that has the better start in this game. Let's see, no, a bit too far. A bit too far still. Yeah, so XL already 1-0 ahead. Very good warding from them that manages, that allows them to catch Razork in the brush right next to the river. Here, for some reason, Fnatic feel like they can engage even though they're at a disadvantage. Humanoid is still farming, so he's not there. Trimby wishes engage, and no, I can't do anything. Even with the poke, there's not even a serrated Dirk on Humanoid to start doing like some proper poke damage. So they're not looking the best necessarily. 2-0 down, but we scale. we scale, no problem at all here. Oscarinen is the only one ahead. Obviously, will have the advantage against a Cassante as a Gwen, so he's farming properly. He's not overdoing it, holding his lane, keeping his CS advantage. Same for Noah, same for mid lane. Not the end of the world. XL 2 kills, a Drake. It's fine. We're looking at less than 1k gold advantage at the end of the day. Let's see, maybe around here, I believe. Here Odoamne gets a bit greedy for a plate. Good chase here from Oscar, who tries to snip him down. Has the Conqueror activated. Almost gets a solo kill on Odoamne. Razork spots this. Tries to catch Odoamne unaware. Odoamne dashes. Avoids the knock-up, but Razork is a bit too much of a mad lad. And he says, I will kill you with my Ivern. I do not care. Which is great because this gives a massive advantage to Oscarinen from that point. Even if he doesn't get the kills, he denies a couple of waves to Odoamne, who doesn't have TP, gets 3 plates for himself, and 2 free waves. So he's over 20 CS ahead, and the rest of the team doesn't get punished. On the contrary, the rest of the team actually gets back their lead slightly, despite the couple of kills gained by them in the early game. So, very well controlled overall in that sense. Let me see. It's around here where basically XL wants to make something happen. They see the rest of Fnatic in the mid lane. They try to out-tempo them by bringing 4 people in the top lane to get the kill on Oscar. Fnatic answers quickly. Oscar does the right thing by staying away from his turret, and then obviously the engagement potential is too good. XL here taken into a choke point where they just can't get out. Limit gets absolutely demolished for just even thinking about being here. Trimby re-engages 10 times. Slight scare here with very good stun by Patrick, I must say, and the knockback from Abadage, but it doesn't matter because Razork will shield, will heal. There are no issues there. So very good collapse. Fnatic starts to get a hefty advantage, all the while Noah gets a full turret for himself. So it's pretty much a 4v5. And not only does Fnatic lose something, they win the team fight, and Noah gets free farm. So he's living the life. He's living the life. He gets free wave, fully farmed, 1k ahead on his Kaisa that he's just gonna snowball to death. I think he manages to get Nashor's on his recall. Not yet. But yeah, just great moves here. Everyone respecting the engage potential. Humanoid just bursting in. Gets a good poke here. It's just pacing really well. I'm looking at it now. He's avoided all the dangers. Like he's avoided the feather recall. He's avoided the shattered earth or whatever it's called. And again, Razork just pushing the advantage here and catching XL out of position as they don't have control of their bottom side. Next is 22. Let's say around the 27. A bit later. So here, big team fight again as Razork is trying to just push out the advantage. There is a 6k gold advantage here. initial engage is survived thanks to the redemption. Odoamne tries to sort of isolate Oscar. The problem is, in 2023, all the champions can fly across the screen. So, what does Noah do? He ults into the backline, destroys everyone. Trimby does the same as he jumps over that wall, stuns the backline. Not necessarily the best move from Odoamne to bring Oscar into Patrick and Abadage, but nonetheless, triple kill, which leads into Baron. Very clean overall. But, of course, it wouldn't be Fnatic without a little slippage, of course. So, what do? We go bot, and we do the classic LEC, which is to get caught in the how do you call it? Into the bot siege, which costs a flash for Noah and 2 kills, but it's fine. You know, some good progress is acquired all over the map overall, so not an issue. And in the end, as a famous band said, it doesn't really matter, because as Excel tries to go for a Hail Mary play, Oscarinen goes God mode and decides to go in. Is helped by Noah. They don't get the smite on Baron, because of course that would be too nice. And Excel gets absolutely obliterated here, thanks to Oscarinen, who catches a quadra kill. And, whoops, I've gone too far. Makes it into a pentakill. His first pentakill with, in the LEC, I should say. Well done to him. Pentakill with a broken hand. You've got to salute the performance here. Going into the second game, which again is a bit of a salty run back in terms of drafts. This time Excel gets the rail, but we get the Ivern, the Kaisa, and the Jace again. So very good. We take limits Alistar so it doesn't transform to a real jungle, and Alistar support. So good picks here overall by Fnatic. And of course, the game starts with a little bit of shenanigans with Razork thinking he's being a bit cheeky and catching Peach out of position, and instead will give away first blood. Boom. So this is a bit unfortunate, as this goes to Odoamne, who's already in a favorable matchup against Oscar, so he's going to get a longsword, and this is just going to make laning for Oscar a bit more difficult. He still manages to get by it, but still not the easiest of start for our man here. Good comeback from Fnatic to get a kill in return in the mid lane for Humanoid. And there we're just going to have a sequence of events that are happening for Fnatic and Excel, I believe, which are, what do you call it? So it's a bit farther down. Limit tries to get the engage. Good little combo by Trimby and flashback. Noah spaces really well to just avoid the engage from Limit. 2v2 kill for free. As this happens, you're like, oh, Fnatic's doing so well. This is going to be a 3-0. It's over. Humanoid gets a little bit too greasy as Razork is backing him. Peach comes back. Ari, having the better early game, takes the advantage here and gets a kill in exchange, which is a bit unfortunate. Evens up the score, evens up the pressure. Excel will get a Drake in exchange. So this is a bit the pattern for Excel is go for Drake, go for Herald, go for Drake again, as Nightshare explained it so well. And I believe Is it here? Oh no, it's in the next game, sorry. So here, at this stage, the game is rather even. But of course, Fnatic has to move it into some unforced errors, so they try to get into Abadage, who charms the initial engage from Trimby, and then from that point onward there's no much damage as Humanoid misses his shock blast, and after that they get collapsed on. Great TP from Odoamne, who catches Noah in the river. Beautiful 4-man stun. I mean, this is all on Odoamne here. He does super well. Humanoid tries his best with Oscar to make something happen, but here Excel start, snowballing their advantage. It continues a bit further down, unfortunately for Fnatic, as Excel starts sieging topside. They get a good combo on Oscar. Humanoid has to TB a little bit far and joins the team fight too late. Doesn't get anyone on the shock blast again. Gets perma CC'd. Nothing for him to do. Then Noah, a bit like a karate movie, where the enemies come one after the other, tries to make something happen. Instead, feeds another kill into the Zeri, and Zeri is gaming, which gets a quadra kill, and you can guess the rest. Excel just play on their advantage with 10k gold advantage at 19 minutes, which is really not what you want to see, obviously. The game pretty much ends on them acquiring... No, sorry. Wait, did I? Oh, yeah. Sorry. No. I forgot about that part. So, Excel can always throw the game. So here, there's a team fight that goes a little bit all over the place. Everyone is missing their skill shot, apart from Razork, who gets an amazing catch onto Patrick, which is followed up by Trimby, full goon squad onto them. Razork gets another catch here. Good knockback by Trimby, but Ari can just move wherever she wants. Then Odoane tries to see what's going on. Trimby catches him again. He has to stopwatch, gets caught. Fortunately, shutdown goes on to Trimby, but not the end of the world. Now, the biggest issue is that Peach obviously can dash over the wall, so Fnatic has to delay the taking of the Baron, which in return allows Patrick and Limit to return from spawn. Now, they finally get the Baron. They get some bounty gold for it. Unfortunately, the army arrives and Zeri is Zeriing once again, so all the Barons are fading away bit by bit as Peach survives the onslaught. Humanoid, I don't know what he's doing here. He's deciding to clear in front of Arel, gets caught for his worries, and that's a wipe, which obviously chains into the end of the game with a bot lane team fight. Fnatic tries to defend, but it is for nothing, unfortunately. Third game this time should have easily been Fnatic's game, but again, Fnatic is their biggest enemy. They're sort of rerunning the same comps with the Ivern and the Jace. This time they're going for Jinx into the Zeri and a Norn, which is really good pick currently for its engage potential and its late game insurance with the Ornn augments. Now the game starts really well. At the 4th minute, we have a good gank by Razork, who gets into the bot lane before Peach. First blood for the Jinx, which is exactly what you want. You want your Jinx to be ahead as much as possible, as she's going to scale into a maniac ADC. Limit gets caught. Good hook here by Trimby. and Razor catches Peach for a second kill for Noah. So that's a 3-0 for Fnatic. That's 2 kills on a hard carry ADC. Perfect start, almost 1k advantage for Jinx. Just a little bit afterwards as we move forward. Oops, I've gone too far. Razork decides to move topside, punish Odoamne, who Oscar has been dealing lanes super well. Boom, 4-0. Your top is ahead, your bot is ahead. Basically, some of your best scaling teammates are set ahead. You're like, this game should be folded. It should be over. Like, anytime there has to be a contest around an objective, there's no chance for Excel to do anything. Now Trimby here, I don't know what the communication was here, and I'd be very, very curious to know what happened, because Trimby is basically, he's not trying to do Drake on his own, like I've read multiple times, but I think he's trying to keep the Drake active so Razor and Jace can collapse, and they can force a team fight with the advantage that they've gained. Like, they're almost 2k ahead, so I'm sure they're happy to do something and act the TP on Oscar if needed, just to snowball their lead. It seems that it's decided against it. Instead, Trimby is put to jail because he can't leave. I think Steadfast Presence is the little circle around Poppy. No, obviously can't do much in a 2v1 scenario. And this is where, again, this area starts getting fed. We get this instance, then you'd think that, with the advantage acquired in the top lane, they're able to do Herald, but it just happens that they brush on the ward of Excel, which is so unfortunate. Keeper's verdict onto Oscarnin, and Razor just has a bad time. He gets shuffled. Humanoid obviously doesn't move because he doesn't feel like he needs to move here. They're probably saying we have it under control, we have it. Instead, they get a kill, and they get the Herald. So the snowball from Fnatic isn't snowballing as much anymore. If you move a bit down the road, let's see, 27, we're gonna go here, I believe. Oh yeah, there's just one bit where Humanoid gets saved by Razork. Massive engage here from Limit. Humanoid decides to walk back in for some reason. Razork just flashes shield just enough. Peach gets caught under the turret instead, which, great reaction from what's his name? From Razork here. And again, you're like, well, there's been a bit of a sloppy situation in the later stages of the game, but still, Fnatic is ahead. We're looking at 2.5k gold, really good. Here, Excel plays really well. Their warding has been exceptional in my opinion, and they have great vision on what's happening. So Razork again gets caught super squishy, can't do anything against 4 people, and there's nothing to answer here. There's Noah can't necessarily push on his own because they can go bot and they can go mid, so Humanoid is kind of screwed there. And Oscar is not going to destroy a turret in 2 seconds. Let's see. So there ensues, after a team fight, Trimby gets caught trying to move down. Razork is here to help him, puts a big shield so he doesn't take any damage. Peach here takes tons of damage. Now, I don't know what happened for Oscar to TP with half of his HP. And now he gets greeted by 3 people while Nautilus is flying back to base Noah is like, oh guys, um, I've got a Rakan who's trying to charm me, and a Scion who's just rushing into me. At this stage, Humanoid decides to TP into 4 people as well. What is going on, Fnatic? What are you doing? And there's like, well, hello, welcome, boom, boom, boom. You can't do anything. And all the gathered advantage here just gets blown into smithereens. Patrick's tries to catch Razork, but good ult from Trimby to sort of zone him away. Noah can't do anything. With the advantage he acquired, he can't do anything. The Zeri is 4-1 now when she was put behind 1k gold against the Jinx. So just a series of, I don't know if I should say unfortunate events, but just bad, poor decision making. Like it's just very, very squandered. Second Herald is trying to be played for. Odoamne is here, and I don't know what they're expecting to do. They think they can shred this Scion. Has 800 stacks, Jack Cho, and Bami Cinders, and the Ninja Tabis. So this puts Noah in a very bad position, who gets pushed, charmed, knocked up, all types of CC, and Abadage can just slide and glide into the backline for a Sharima shuffle, and it is completely lost from that point onwards as XL. Oh, they didn't get the Herald. It was Fnatic got the Herald, but Fnatic can't even get the Herald. Zarina is 7-1. What do you do? What do you do from that point onwards? Fnatic tried to obviously make some Hail Mary plays a bit later, but doesn't do much, unfortunately. There's a bit of a team fight that goes back and forth as they try to make something happen against Odoamne, who's tanky as hell. Trimby gets caught here, tries to hit them with the ult. The how do you call it? I said it earlier on. I can't remember the name. Basically, the heal item, the AOE heal item from Razork allows Trimby to stay alive long enough so he doesn't die straight away and he can still apply some CC. Noah, plays really well in the spacing, catches the shuffle just in time, puts himself just out of range, and sets himself for the passive, which, again, good spacing here, walks back into limit, away from limit, but unfortunately walks into Odoamne's charge Q, which means that they can end the game. Oh, not end the game, but end the team fight, make it in their favor. For some reason, this doesn't hit the turret. The turret, sucked his stomach in for Oscar to not hit it. I'm not too sure what happened. But, yeah, that's the first stage into the end game. They try to fight again into a choke point, catch onto Peach. Forge God, they try to really put as much damage, but unfortunately there's not enough damage. Noah is isolated, charmed, jumped onto easy target. He can't do anything. The front line isn't burst fast enough, and XL set themselves into match point. And at that stage, it becomes very scary. It becomes extremely scary for Fnatic, who are one game away from ending their season. And this time, what do they decide to pull off? They pull off the Taliyah jungle. Now, there's been some Taliyah mid to answer the Ivern and the engage potential, especially stuff like the Alistar. But here we bring back the Aphelios and we put Tristana mid. We bring in Poppy, who has been very good pick as well into the game. And this time we have a much slower paced game. While the other one, it's been early first bloods. Here we don't get a first blood, I think, until the 5th minute of the game, where a little 2v2 happens. Abadage gets brought down very, very low. Humanoid also almost dies, but Trimby, good roam, guesses that Azir's going to be recalling under his turret. Ignites, almost squanders it because he cancels the Zoro attack, so he takes 2 turret shot for his troubles. But it's fine because this allows Humanoid to get turret play and deny quite a bit of farm to Abadage. Obviously, this pushes away Noah, who has to, be careful with the Zeri, who could easily go in, so she gets a little bit of an advantage, but nothing too serious. At the 7th minute, we get our second kill, a 1-for-1. The advantage is here that, so good knockback from Razork onto the Unraveled Earth. Patrick gets the kill, but Noah gets a kill in return, so this time it's not just Patrick getting fed, it's 1-for-1 for the ADCs. And from here on to way later into the game, nothing happens. Fnatic gets some pressure, they get some turrets, they play the map better, Drakes are even, but it's a very, very quiet game overall. Until comes the 3rd Drake, where this time it's time to face off. Now Humanoid has been playing the map super well. He's pushing side lanes, he's forcing Excel to respawn, and he's spreading them thin. Especially with Tristana, who's great at destroying turrets. He's doing a great job to just push in the waves, bring the turrets down, and eventually getting turret advantage. So gold into the pocket of the Fnatic members. Here, team fight for Drake. Limit gets spotted and gets engaged on, which forces him into an early ult, which sort of removes him from the team fight. From that point on, it's more of a 5v4. They try to frontline with Daisy. They get the Drake, but instead Oscar here plays super well. He jumps in, stuns the Zeri, which is super important here, because while Odoamne gets caught, obviously he comes back into zombie Sion. If Oscarinen hadn't gone in and sort of isolated the backline and put his steadfast presence to avoid them from dashing forward, Odo basically could have gone into the backline while Zeri just free fires. So here he has to focus Oscar, loses HP quite quickly. Very good ultimate here by Humanoid, who pushes away Abadage, who tries to Shurima shuffle. Limit doesn't really get the combo properly. Noah gets the Ghost extension, dashes in with the Gale Force. Amazing. And that translates immediately to a Baron. And from that point onwards, this is it for Fnatic. Like, this is how they gain their advantage. You've got Humanoid and Noah on his white gun, so just shurikens the Baron, goes very fast, and the Baron isn't necessarily like the Baron advantage isn't necessarily played that crazy. Like there's no turret taken. We were at 4 before the Baron's still at 4. Kills are roughly the same as well. Instead, Excel gets a turret, the 2nd tier turret in the top lane, and it will only take until roughly 28th minute for Fnatic to force another Baron, which they will take rather quickly with the itemization. As you can see, 3 items for Tristana, 3 items for Philios, so they just shred the Baron between the both of them, obviously with Razork as well. And they're very good. Team fight follows. Limit tries to go in, gets a 4-man knockup, which is pretty good. Good buffer from Humanoid, who manages to step away from the Sion ult engage. But the real hero here is Oscarinen. Look what Oscar does here. He's right in the middle of your screen, and as you can see, he steadfast presence onto the Azir, who tries to shuffle into Razork, stuns him against the wall, which allows Razork to set up his trap with the knockback onto the Unraveled Earth. And Odoamne is kinda in no man's land here, between Noah, Humanoid, who are just bonking him with their guns. Double careful Noah, which transforms into a game when Peach stunned against the wall. Great game from Oscar as well. Again, this guy has a broken arm, broken fingers. Final game, servo scrapes. This is it. Bit of a salty run back, but the Callista on Noah at this time, paired with the Nautilus, great association here. We've got another Ornn game and another Talia, another Tristana. Let's see how the game unfolds. Well, this time, things start very early. At the 3rd minute, very well played, somewhat dive as Limit gets a bit too close, gets knocked back, ignite. Good job from Noah here, from Trimby and Razork, who combine their CCs to get the first blood here onto Limit, which gives a significant advantage on Noah, who will receive a lot of attention on his Callista this game, which is normal because you want Callista to be as ahead as much as possible. If she falls behind only by a little bit, she's out of the game, especially against the Zeri, who will scale much harder than the Callista. As we know, XL are prone to making mistakes and overcook, which they do here by trying to set up traps again into Razor's jungle, who's trying to do red. Gets sandwiched between the Ahri and Peach. Here Abbedagge just completely hits the skill shot way too early and misses by a mile, thinking that for some reason Razork would move back into the brush. Not too sure what happened here. Razork now is completely safe. Timing by Trimby to be there as well and to create a threat. Collapsed by Oscar, who brings in the Forge God, Humanoid, Goomba stomps, lets the bomb tick tick, and boom, 2 kills for Fnatic this time. XL didn't quite like that happen, so they're bringing their whole entire army onto the top lane after taking Herald to take care of Oscar and put as much gold as possible onto the Zeri. So they managed to get Oscar. They're gonna drop the Herald, give all the gold possible to Patrick to help him catch up to Noah, who's 600, 700 gold ahead, but most importantly has over 20 CS difference on Patrick. So Noah manages lane super well against Patrick here. Noah manages to get some plates but won't get the turret, which will sort of create a different tempo here for the side lanes. Fnatic does get a few plates and the Drake for 1 kill and a turret, so it's a good exchange overall, not the worst situation. But Fnatic loves to play themselves. So what do? They're gonna decide to overcook a few times. They're putting all that pressure onto the Sejuani to allow Noah to grab the turret before the 14th minute and get maximum gold. Now here, Trimby gets a good catch. There's just a slight flash from Peach, which helps him dodge the Unraveled Earth and removes most of the damage here, because while Oscar does get the knock up, Trimby gets onto there. There's just not enough damage, and here the whole armada comes in. Razor gets caught, kill for Abbedagge, which wasn't necessarily needed, and if I'm not mistaken, bot lane turret is still not taken. This not only happens once, it actually happens twice, unfortunately. As Fnatic was like, you know what? One bot lane overextension was not enough. Let's try it a second time. So again, they're trying to crack that bot lane. That bot lane turret is really giving them a situation. TP here from Odoamne as they try to clear the ward, and there they just get collapsed. There's nothing they can do. Limit is trying to charm. Noah is trying to do the best he can, but he's just not at that level yet where he can really shred through the front line. Oskarinen dies. Noah manages to get away. Humanoid as well, but a very, very bad situation for Fnatic, where Excel starts to gain a slight lead while they were behind, which is not what you want in your ultimate game, deciding if your season ends or not. As we go a bit forward, Excel holds on to their lead. Not much changes overall. Noah tries to stay ahead and farm, which he does really well with a 30 lead CS difference. So despite the kill difference advantage for Patrick, he's still staying within arm's length. Gets his first item, Blade of the Rune King, which is a great point already for Kalista, with the Rage Blade in construction right behind. So Noah really doing his best to stay relevant in the game, despite his team being a little bit naughty and just doing too much instead of just letting Excel make the mistakes by themselves because they're behind. So yeah, just forcing to allow Noah to get ahead, but it's fine. Only 1k gold difference at 20 minutes, easily manageable. Drake happens this time, and Razor completely misplaces himself, gets turbo engaged. Odoamne does a little mistake here, tries to isolate Noah, but Kalista is very happy to take 1v1s, especially against tank, because she can just sort of crack the arrows that she puts into them and easily shred through the HP bars. So especially while having her ult up, so it's a 2v1. Noah will take this, reduce the goal disadvantage between him and Patrick. So well, it's sort of a bad situation for Excel. One of the main carries for Fnatic is still happy with the outcome here. Actually completes his Rage Blade after that series of events. Going next, Trimby's spider senses tingle. He spots them on the first ward and then this ward as well. What does he do? He Hextech flashes and finds Limit somewhat isolated, forces the TP from Odoamne, which all in all is a great situation. Gets the gets the ultimate onto two members. I don't know why I've reduced my quality here. Has my internet died? No, my internet has not died. Am I downloading something? I am not downloading something. Okay, 3944. Let's get back to this. I'm just gonna reload, guys. Sorry about that. Okay, well, I guess we're in lower quality, which is not necessarily ideal. Oh, there we go, much better. So again, back to it. Trimby gets a great engage onto Limit and Peach, gets the ultimate, wombo combo as Humanoid, places himself super well to get the kill onto Limit, reposition himself. Here, Noah flashes to get his E off, kill Peach, and allow them to have a free Baron. Very good wall here from Razork to isolate Abadage and force him to ultimate early if he wants to join his team. This isolates Odoamne, who gets cracked open like a coconut by Noah. There it gets a little bit dicey because you have the two main carries on Excel juking it off. Patrick does really well to kite until he gets caught by Noah here, and Humanoid gets the Goomba Stomp onto Abadage. It's a 2 for 5 on the side of Fnatic, who gets away with the Baron. So from this point onward, it gets really interesting for Fnatic. Now, of course, Fnatic isn't necessarily very happy with that situation, so they kind of want to continue forcing it down, and I'm struggling with this video for some reason. There we go. Sorry, the quality has just plummeted for some reason here. Well, it was working perfectly. I don't know if am I doing something here? Oh wow, what is this? That is not. I am not 360ping. Am I downloading something? What is going on? Let's see. Ah, there we go. So here, Fnatic decide to force it on the tier 2, with Oscar being a bit far when he's their main engaged. They manage to get Abadage, but they lose Kalista in return, and they just make it very close as Trimby is tanking for ages, and they just don't get the kill necessary. Patrick ults, which, you know, could have been a mess. Very good knockback here by Razork, but there's, like, without Kalista or Humanoid on top of these carries, they're just not gonna die immediately. So thankfully, 1 for 1 and the turret. Team stayed alive for most of it, so not a big issue, but was still a bit close. Fortunately, the game starts to come to an end as Fnatic manages the wave and plays for the Baron take. I don't know why my internet is struggling so much. There we go. This, you know, when you're paying for fiber, this is the quality you get when struggling. Seems to be working much better here. So as you can see, Fnatic's wave are rather decent. It's pushing top side. It's pushing in Excel's favor bot side, but it's still very slow. But they've pushed back the wave in mid, take control of river, and there they try to annihilate Baron, which goes down super fast with, again, sort of same comp with the Noah Humanoid Razork combination here. Gets destroyed, and there Excel tries to go for the plays. Good idea here from, you know, Abadage and Limit. Abadage uses one of his ults to get over the wall. Limit joins Abadage with his E, tries to engage. Problem is, hello, Trimby's here, puts the knock up, so basically ends Limit's ult. There's no engage. The backline stays safe here in that little river area, and this sets up for the re-engage from Trimby, who gets the hook, gets Kalista ulted. Oscar bowling balls into the backline. Patrick, Abadage, they get caught one after the other. They team fight. Coaches are happy, staff is happy, Fnatic wins, we're all happy at the end of the day. A big hooray for our boys in orange. And that was the series. That was a hell of a series. Now, as you know, Oscar will be out for the next game, and we have Wunder, who will be replacing him. Wunder's been out of the scene for couple of splits now. The advantage of Wunder is that he will fit into the team really well, having played with them and just being an easy plug-and-play player. My only concern is, there's two concerns. There's the level he's going to showcase during the games, and what playstyle is he? Is he just going to have like a weak side passive playstyle, or is he going to try to be a bit more proactive? Because the thing with Oscar is that Oscar doesn't go full weak side. Like, he plays even if he's weak side. So he's not like hard losing his lane. He goes even, and only when they try to, you know, 4-man dive him, that it gets a bit troublesome for him. But otherwise, he's done super well. That's just gonna be my concern. With Wunder, still a very good player, and I think that there will be a bit of personal ego of playing against a man like Adam. So, you know, there's something for him in it as well. On top of, if he wishes to join the team next season, this is the opportunity for him to showcase himself and say, hey, I may not have played for 2 splits, but I still have it in me. So this is the moment to advertise himself and, you know, display his talents. So all I can say is that I'm wishing a very safe and successful surgery for Oscar, hoping that whatever medication rehab he has to go through allows him back into the game as soon as possible, and wishing all the best for Wunder. I know he's gonna, you know, he's gonna do his best, and I know I'm sure he'll be able to, you know, contribute, hopefully, with Fnatic's win against BDS. I think BDS are reachable. We just need to stop making these mistakes. Like, we are our own enemy. Like, in the game against Excel, the mistakes were made by Fnatic and punished by Excel. It was never Excel really being super proactive. If Fnatic just keeps it in their back pocket for 2 seconds and doesn't try to overforce it, I think it should be smooth sailing against BDS. So that will be my prediction. I don't know what score it will be. It might be another 3-2, could be 3-1, could be 3-0. I think anything can happen when you have an unknown factor like Wunder coming in. So yeah, I've just realized that what was supposed to be a short episode happened to be an hour episode, but that's what happens when you review a full best of 5, I guess. But guys, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Again, thank you very much for following, for coming on. I'm sorry, Fran, I saw you've struggled with your internet, but appreciate the activity in the chat. Hope you were able to watch as much of the podcast as possible. Guys, don't forget to follow on Twitter or X. I still haven't changed the logo. I still can't get over it, but eventually I'll have to change it. YouTube for all the VODs, and for people who prefer listening, on Spotify. Episodes go live roughly an hour or 2 after I click the end stream button. So that's it, guys. Enjoy the games tomorrow. Hoping for a win for Fnatic, as I'll be going to Montpellier next week. So I want to see the boys there. I won't be able to see the games, unfortunately, because I'll be going at a wedding. So I might try to check my phone here and there as the wedding goes on. But yeah, it might be a bit of a suspenseful wedding for me, even though I'm not the one getting married. But yeah, I'll see you. I don't know if I'll see you next week, to be honest. I'll probably not see you next week, unless I do the episode on Thursday, because I'm taking the train to Montpellier on Friday evening. So I'll see how I figure it out. Guys, take care, enjoy the games, and as usual, always Fnatic. Bye bye, guys. Thanks.